Alex, I spent most of my 30s convinced that ergonomics was just a word people used when they didn't want to work hard. I figured if a lathe weighed 600 pounds, you just recruited three guys, promised them a six-pack, and hope nobody heard a pop in their lower back.
Haha. The three guy and a six-pack method. It's a classic of the genre, usually followed by the one guy on the couch with a heating pad weak.
Exactly. Ask me how I know. I have a disc between L4 and L5 that currently identifies as a pancake because I tried to walk a 14-inch bandsaw across a concrete floor solo. Here's the thing. Nobody tells you. Gravity doesn't take days off, and it doesn't care about your ego.
Wait, hold on. Are you admitting that you, the master of the Tiger Den, actually use tools to move things now? I thought you just used pure grizzly bear strength and stubbornness.
Stubbornness is an infinite resource. My spine is not. Today, we're talking about moving the heavy stuff, the cast iron, the industrial cabinets, the engine blocks, whatever is currently threatening to give you a hernia. We're looking at three specific tools that cost less than one visit to a physical therapist. Let's start with the unsung hero of the shop floor, the heavy-duty dolly. I'm looking at these industrial ones recently, the kind with the non-slip pads.
Okay, but what about when people just use those cheap ones with the tiny plastic wheels? You know, the ones that hit a single pebble or a stray wood chip and just stop.
The sudden stop maneuver. That's how you turn a moving project into a catapult project. You're pushing a 400-pound cabinet, the wheel hits a grain of sawdust, the dolly stops, but the cabinet, thanks to Sir Isaac Newton, decides it wants to keep going, usually onto your toes. If you're looking at something like the heavy-duty dollies on Amazon, the ones indexed under material handling, you want the ones with the ball-bearing swivels and the rubberized tops.
I saw those. Some of them have these elaborate 3-year protection plans. I always wondered, who buys a protection plan for a piece of wood with 4 wheels?
People who have seen a wheel assembly shear off while moving a gun safe. But honestly, the real value here isn't the tech, it's the casters. You want wheels that can clear a shop floor. If you're moving stuff in a shop, those dollies turn a 3-person groan fest into a 1-person stroll.
But let's be real, Tiger. Getting the heavy thing onto the dolly is where the pop happens. You can't just wish a 1.5-ton lathe 6 inches into the air.
And that's where the Kitty Queen style lifts come in. Have you seen these furniture lifter jacks? They look like a crowbar that went to the gym.
Those things look like they belong on an infomercial at 2 just AM. Does a little hand lever really lift a refrigerator?
It's basic physics, Alex. Give me a long enough lever and a place to stand, and I'll move the world. Or at least your wife's overly heavy oak dresser. These lifters allow you to get that first inch of clearance. That's all you need to slide the dolly under.
So the workflow is, pry it up with the lever, kick the dolly under with your foot, and try not to lose a toe in the process.
Try being the operative word. But seriously, there's a reason these are listed under pulling and lifting. They take the initial strain off your core. Most shop injuries happen in that first 6 inches of a lift, when your form is garbage, because you're trying to get a grip on something that wasn't meant to be gripped.
Okay, now we're getting into the big boy toys. The Harbor Freight Special, the 1.5-ton low-profile aluminum racing jack. This looks a bit overkill for moving a workbench, doesn't it?
Nothing is overkill if it keeps you out of a back brace, Alex. Let me tell you about the rapid pump system. Ask me how I know why it matters.
How do you know?
Because I once spent 20 minutes under a truck with a standard screw jack, turning it a 1/4 inch at a time while a puddle of transmission fluid slowly migrated toward my hair. This Pittsburgh jack, 3.5 pumps, and you're at full height. It's aircraft-grade aluminum. It's light enough to carry with one hand, but can lift 3,000 pounds.
3,000 pounds. That's essentially a small car, or your ego after a successful glue-up.
Close. It's more like the weight of a professional grade table saw with an extension wing. Here's the thing nobody tells you. A low-profile jack is the only one you should buy.
Why is that?
Because standard jacks are too tall, you'll have a machine on a base, or a car that's been lowered, and you can't even get the jack under the frame. This one starts at about 3.5 inches. It's the difference between done in 5 minutes and spending an hour jacking up the jack so you can use the jack.
What's with the racing designation? Are people out here drag racing their woodshop equipment?
Haha, it's about speed and weight. In a pit crew, you don't want a 90-pound steel jack. This thing is aluminum. You can toss it in the back of the truck, take it to a job site, or move it around the shop without feeling like you're doing a CrossFit workout.
I'm looking at the price here, about $110. Compare that to a $1,500 emergency room bill for a strained lower back. The math seems to check out.
It's the best $110 you'll ever spend. I use mine for everything. I've used it to level a garden shed. I've used it to press a bearing into a housing. I even used it once to lift the corner of my porch to replace a rotted post.
So, if you're a beginner maker or just someone who realized they aren't 22 anymore, what's the starter pack?
The Backsaver Trifecta. Get a set of four-wheel dollies, the ones with the rubber padding. Get a manual lever lifter for the small stuff. And get a 1.5-ton aluminum floor jack for the real heavy hitters. Total investment? Maybe $200.
And the payoff is you can move your entire shop alone.
Exactly. It turns a, hey, can you come over and help me move this? Phone call into a, I already did it text. There is a certain quiet satisfaction in moving a 500-pound joiner across the room with one hand while holding a coffee in the other.
Speaking of which, there is definitely a wood shaving floating in your espresso.
That's just fiber, Alex. Adds character.
Here's the final thought for today. We spend thousands on the tools that cut the wood and melt the metal. We spend almost nothing on the tools that protect the person using them. Don't be the guy who can't work in his shop because he tried to be a hero on moving day.
Buy the jack, save the back.
Exactly. Now help me move this table saw. I want to see if I can do it with my pinky finger.
I'm staying over here. I'll film it for the Shop Disasters reel.